Alrighty, it's time to get comfy, time to get cozy. Welcome back to Let's Vibe Podcast, everyone. It is Friday, March 15th, 6:15 when I'm recording this. I had a nice little work from home day, and I'm recording this. If you're watching on video, I'm recording this on Zoom because we got a lot to dive into today, and I just didn't want to have to worry about starting and stopping and starting and stopping for this stream of consciousness that is about to happen. We're going back to what really happened these past several months. Some things I might go more in depth on, some things I might not. But I think it's still helpful to be transparent, and I think it's also going to be very healing for me to be seen and be witnessed. I've actually been going through some coaching around being seen more, which to some of you might feel like confusing because of the platforms I have and how many followers I have, but I do struggle with being seen, especially when it comes to like very personal things that have happened in my life because it really ties into some, core limiting beliefs that I struggle with. So in today's podcast, I'm really going to be sharing some of the things that happened, some lessons that were learned, and maybe if you've also been going through similar things, it can also be healing and helpful for you to hear and know that you're not alone. I do think together when we, can bring things out of the darkness and into the light, there could be a lot of healing around that. So that's what we're doing here today. And before this, I did like a heart opener meditation, and that's where I'm coming with just this open heart, and really allowing myself to speak from the heart on some of these things. And yeah, just be seen, witnessed, be open, be transparent, and we'll see where this takes us. It's not going to be perfect, and it's okay if it's not perfect. I might say some things that don't resonate, or I might say some things that don't work for you. I might not be perfect in the things that I say and how I deliver these things, and that's okay. That's definitely something I'm also working with, is releasing the perfectionism, releasing not being good enough at these things, and releasing the need to be in control of things, releasing that, some of these things that have been holding me back, and feeling that feelings that have come up and all of that. So that is the intention I have for today. And I figured we just go ahead and dive on in. And to you guys who have followed me and supported me for so long, there's like a gap probably for a lot of you, because it's like last summer I was on my hot girl healing summer. I went through a breakup with Chase in May, and then I was like really tapping into something that I hadn't tapped into for a long time, and really confronting a lot of the things that I was unhappy with in myself and in my life, and was on a really good, I think, trajectory and was like really feeling the momentum. And I had brought this podcast back, and then everything just kind of like halted, I feel like. And even going back and looking at my content, like for on Instagram, on TikTok, like there was just such a disconnect from myself again. Um, and there's a couple reasons why. And so I'm gonna go through like some of the key things that have happened. Some things I might not go super in depth on, and some things, I might keep kind of there because there's some things I would like to keep private. But I was feeling a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. And I also was feeling like I was creating meaning around these things, around a certain core belief that I struggle with. And so I think it would be just kind of helpful to talk about it and share about it. And maybe you've experienced something similar. So the key thing that really kind of like kicked this off is that Chase and I, my ex, we reconnected around August of last year. So only a couple months after we'd broken up. And there was a lot of shame around that because, everyone says, don't get back, don't go back, all that stuff. Like, oh, this is a canon event. And this was a canon event for me to go through, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I loved this person, right? And I'm not going to go too in depth on those things, but it was funny because around the time that Chase and I reconnected, I had posted the episode on navigating breakups in the rave scene. And so I was feeling a lot of shame because here it was that I delivered this podcast that was so helpful for a lot of people in navigating breakups. But then I was reconnecting with the person that, I was doing a lot of healing from and a lot of healing around. Um, and we are not back together. I am still single. Um, and I will really kind of leave it at that. We reconnected. We didn't get back together. The idea was in progress if we were going to get back together, and we ultimately have decided that we would be better off as friends. I am currently in no contact with him just to take some time, take some space again. This all kind of happened at the beginning of this year. Really, yeah, beginning of this year, very early into the year. So it's been definitely a journey, but there's been some positives to it in the fact that I have a whole year where I get to plan for me, and make some exciting plans. And the initial hurt was a lot shorter compared to the initial hurt that happened last summer because there was a lot of communication. There's a lot of love and care and respect still there. And it's one of those things that we grew so much together. It's like very healing to know that we have left each other better than when we found each other. And now we are going to go our separate ways, but still be able to support each other on the sidelines and cheer each other on, wish each other the best. It's just not going to be done together, and that's okay. Um, so that's kind of like what I'll say about that. But that was kind of like the main thing that obviously happened because we reconnected. We're trying to figure things out. I obviously felt like I couldn't express that on social media, and I felt a lot of shame around it, maybe because, everyone's like, don't take him back, blah, 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 all these things. But coming from my heart, it was something that I needed to find out for myself, and now I know what I know, and there's no what ifs. And obviously, like I said, there's still a lot of love and care there. There will always be that. And it's okay to leave it at that. And yeah, will him and I will continue being friends and supporting each other in that way. And it's just gonna look a little differently. And that's that on that part. I'm just gonna leave it there. Um, there's no hate or anger or resentment. There's just healing and growing, and that's okay. And with that, like I said, I was creating this meaning that me going back to him kind of like made me a bad person, right? And so I was kind of getting really hard on myself in this time. And I was kind of self-bullying a lot in a way and kind of keeping myself shielded, because I was afraid of maybe what other people might think. But then also because of, this reconnection, it kind of unlocked some other things in my life. So my life has like completely changed, honestly. It does not look the same as it did this time last year. I've had a lot of people leave my life. I do not have the same friend group I once did. There's still some of, the homies that have stuck around, which I'm so grateful for them. They've really shown up for me in this time. But I basically lost like a whole friend group that was attached to my ex. And in that, there was a lot of shame and feeling like I was a bad person, that I did something wrong. And it was very hard. I isolated myself a lot. I felt like I just didn't want to be seen. I needed to protect myself. I felt very vulnerable. I felt like all eyes were on me. Like it was a very rough fall in this way. And that's why I'm really grateful for my ex because I did really get to lean on him. And I know that even if we are not romantically involved, I know for a fact that Chase has my back. And I'm always going to be grateful for him in that way. And I really was able to lean on him last fall because of some of these things that were happening with like friendship dynamics and friendships ending and like friendships distancing and like all of these things that I had never experienced before. And so that was another thing that left me feeling very like I just needed to isolate, protect myself, not be seen. And again, was feeling a lot of shame and just feeling like I was a bad person, which I'm not. And I know I'm not. Like, I laugh at that now. Like, I don't think I'm a bad person, but I was creating meaning around these situations. And that's why mindset work is so key and so important because you can easily go down a spiral and convince yourself that you're a bad person or that like you deserve these things to happen to you or like whatever. And so it was a very triggering time in the fall, to be honest. And around this time, I developed chronic hives, which probably were attached to some of these, things that had happened. I actually just met with someone today where we kind of like talked about it, and it was very like confirming and healing for me. Um, I started developing chronic hives in mid-September, and I still deal with them every single day. So every single day since mid-September, I've broken out in hives of some sort. They kind of appear on hips and upper leg, sometimes on my hands. Um, I'm on medication. I have a plan with a doctor with that medication, and that's been helping. I'm still dealing with it a little bit, which I think it's gonna, kind of dissolve over time as I continue to heal and work through these things. I had gotten tested, blood work done, all you name it, all of it, and nothing came back. I just started breaking out in these hives, and we had found a YouTube video of this girl in the UK, and they basically described it as like you have an overactive immune system, like your body's just producing these histamines and it's trying to fight off something that doesn't really exist. And even the conversation I had today basically kind of described maybe why that was happening. And so that was another layer to this where my body physically responded to some of the things that I was like going through in my life. Like my body just felt like it was in this triggered state. I went to 3 points with these hives. I was still kind of like I didn't have the testing yet. I had just gotten prescribed like prednisone, a steroid, which helped for a little bit, but then like my body was just still coming back to this triggered state. Um, and they were itchy and it was rough. So that was like around September, October, I was dealing with that. And then after I got back from 3 points, my health started to decline a little bit more with the chronic hives. I started getting fevers. I started getting muscle and joint pain. Really rough. Like even that seismic dance event, I had to go to the med tent the first night and get Tylenol because I like started getting like a fever and all of that. And it was really hard because it's like I obviously want to be able to enjoy the things I want to do, but then I was having to like take care of my health, you know? And it's like I knew that I was fine, but my body was not feeling fine. And it's a very hard place to be in, especially when you don't have answers too. So I missed out on a lot. I felt like last fall, didn't go to as many shows. I had to sell my tickets or give my tickets away to a lot of things. Seismic, I really was like, no, I really want to be able to go to Seismic because like I've just had such a rough year. Like I just want to dance, you know? Um, and even after Seismic, it got a lot worse. I missed Thanksgiving with my family. I wasn't good enough to fly. I was dealing with the fevers and all of that. And I just was like, my body just needs to rest. And it also took so long with the health care system to get something going. And so now, like I said, I'm on medication. That took a while. I started that in January and I am seeing an improvement in my health, which is really, really great. So now you guys can understand why, like, I just was not feeling my best. And I felt like, again, I was just really hard on myself and I was dealing with the health stuff, which wasn't helping because I wasn't able to work out. I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. And like, I just felt so isolated and I felt very alone. And I felt like I was this bad person for some reason. I felt like um I just deserved to kind of be like this, I guess. Like I deserved to be isolated. And it was a very hard time. Like, I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna keep saying that because I don't think I've really like acknowledged just how hard that this period of my life was, even just last year. Like, I feel like I've almost like gaslit myself and being like, oh no, but it's fine. Like, oh, but it's fine. But like it wasn't really fine. It was a really hard time. But I'm so grateful for the people that I had to support me during that time. And I was able to go home for Christmas, and that was all great. And even though I was having this hard time, I still showed up for myself in ways that I could. So, one amazing blessing that did happen in this time was I went back to a 9 to 5. I was really marinating all year on going back to a 9 to 5, and I started putting some feelers out in fall because I finally got to that point where it's like I can't do this anymore. I can't solely focus, like, I can't solely try to make my own income right now. Like, I just can't do it. And lo and behold, I found like the most perfect opportunity, which I am going to keep that mainly private, but just know it is something that is just so up my alley with coaching, with marketing, with content creation. I'm really getting to grow in the skills that I need to grow in as a leader. And I'm also getting to work with really amazing people. And getting that job, like I said, has just been the biggest blessing for financial security. Not having to think about those things, also being able to get health insurance while I was dealing with these health things. So I started this job mid-September. So it's like I went to Electric Zoo. I came back. The hives started the week before I started my full-time job. So as I was dealing with these health things, I was also getting integrated into working a 9 to 5 again. So I really took my time in trying to figure out my routines and everything. It's been 6 months since I started at my full-time job, so I feel like I'm finally kind of getting a handle on things. But in that time, I was just really focused on working my 9 to 5, taking care of my health, and then also working with my coaching clients that I already had. So, needless to say, it was a very chaotic fall, and you guys can see why I had to like not do the podcast. I had to take a step back for myself because it just was like this very turbulent time. Like I was just in this storm, it felt like. And now I finally feel like I'm kind of coming out of the storm. And I talked about this on my Instagram story today because it stormed today when I was going to spin. And then as I was coming out of spin, there was just this beautiful sunrise that I was driving home with, and the storm had stopped, and it was just like I just felt like I could relax and take a deep breath because it's like, man, like I have been in such a storm, and I could be really grateful for the days where I feel like I'm not in that storm. And like just knowing that those storms, I'm gonna get probably get emotional so many times, but just knowing that those storms always pass, with the full-time job, it really has been amazing because I get to get out of the house and go to an office. I go to the office 3 times a week, and just being able to get out of my apartment is really nice. And like I said, I have such a tendency to isolate myself so easily. So being able to get out of the house has been nice. My coworkers are all so amazing, and they're all around my age. We have similar interests. And, last night after a work event that we had, like one of my coworkers was like, "Do you want to go to Dave and Buster's?" So we went to Dave and Buster's, and like there's just been so many like little serendipitous little things like that that have just made me really grateful for where I'm at. And having people around me that it makes me so happy to be able to go into an office like that and to feel so supported. Like my director, my COO, like they're amazing and are so supportive. It's so funny. My COO even like loves house music. Like she went to Seismic, like it's just really cool to be in a company like this, and our CEO is amazing too. And I really do believe in the vision and all of that he's doing. And so I really do feel like I can like stay at this job for a long time to come and really grow in it and excel at it. So that is one beautiful bright side to what's been going on, but it was definitely like another layer of complexity to what was really going on in my life. Um, and so that's kind of like the timeline of things. Like we had, getting reconnected with Chase, dealing with a lot of friendship things, starting my full-time job, then also dealing with the hives and having those health things happen. So that was kind of like most of the end of last year, like the final like 3 or 4 months of last year. December, I didn't go to any shows. I was able to go home for Christmas, which was really great just to like decompress. And then we come into 2024. I really was loving the energy of this year. Like coming into the year, I was like, 2024 just has a good feeling about it. So I really was trying to plan for the year. And then, of course, Chase and I decided to not move forward with, moving forward with our relationship. And that was okay. It was one of those things that um you have to be okay with just letting each other go and choosing, ourselves and being able to move forward. And like I said, I don't think it's the end of us in terms of like our connection. I do think it's the end of us romantically, but platonically, no. And we can, wish each other well, support each other from afar. And he did come with me to Groove Cruise. So you guys might have picked up on that. He did come with me to Groove Cruise, and I'm very grateful he came with me. He supported me with all my workshops and content and all the things I needed to do. And I'm really grateful he got to come. And I think it allowed us to end our romantic connection on a happy note. We've known each other for 4 years now. Like, it's actually been 4 years since we went on our first date, which is crazy. And then the pandemic happened. And so it's just one of those things that I was very grateful for him to come, and Groove Cruise was so amazing. You guys heard my excitement on all of that, but I decided to not share too much about him coming. I just didn't want questions or anything like that. He was the one I went to 3 points with as well, which I'm going to be putting out that vlog and maybe like a prep guide for 3 points when they announce tickets and info and stuff like that. But he was the one I went to 3 points with. And some people might have been wondering that too, but we're just getting all the things out and being transparent. Why not? But yeah, Groove Cruise was really amazing. And I feel like that was a turning point for me because it was like I really got to feel and embody being a leader and doing content for this festival, hosting 2 workshops for this festival. And so it really allowed me to just kind of like tap into that energy. And this is why I talk so much about festivals being such healing experiences and transformative experiences. And that's how I really felt with Groove Cruise. And so coming back from Groove Cruise, it was like, okay, we have the whole year ahead of us, just us. Like, what do we want to do? So I started making plans for the year. So I'm going to Project Glow at the end of April, my first Project Glow. Very excited about that. I'm also going with my friend Britta and her friends. So I'm kind of going with like a new group because, like I said, I lost my whole friend group really that was attached to my ex, it felt like. So I'm kind of in this space of festival friends. Who do I go to festivals or events with? Which, like, I have so many people across the country and all of that. But it's been different because I also don't have my ex to make those festival plans with, like he was kind of the built-in buddy almost for these festivals because we would go to them together. So it's been a really expansive time for me in this way of like reaching out to people, being like, hey, like, would you want to go to this festival together? What are your plans? That kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to Project Glow in DC at the end of April. Really excited about that. That lineup's amazing. Lane 8 is on that lineup. So, I'm going to be bawling my eyes out at another Lane 8 set, but we're going to have fun. Also, like BB, Garrett, Emma are going, and I just know I'm going to love being around them and getting to see them. And so that will be in April. And then I started planning Lightning in a Bottle. We're making it happen um, for those that have been following, you guys know I bought a ticket to Lightning in a Bottle for 2020 and I was so excited about it. And then, of course, everything happened. I didn't roll over my ticket. I gave my ticket back to the festival. And so I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle and I'm going with my friend Ina Kay. Really excited about that and gonna be flying into San Diego, driving in with her. I just got my flights for both of those festivals and really excited to just be making those things happen. I'm also turning 29 in May. And we have Seismic Dance Event Light happening, which is going to be my birthday weekend. So there's just a lot to look forward to. And that's what I keep coming back to. And I talked about this in the breakup episode. Navigating breakups in the rave scene is like just you have to find those things to look forward to. And like I said, two things can be true at the same time, right? Like I can still be grieving, which like there are days where I'm definitely still grieving and healing. You know, I was with this person for basically 4 years now, and I can also be excited for what's to come. And I will say, I feel like in February, I definitely was distracted from my healing, and that's okay. That is 100% okay. I think I needed to have a little bit of fun and I needed to have some release. So February was just fun. I was just saying yes to social things, going out, doing things. I did invite alcohol back into my life, which some of you might be like, you know, I was sober from alcohol for a year and a half. I did have a glass of wine on New Year's Eve. I was just kind of like doing a little vibe check, seeing how I feel about it. That glass of wine, I actually was like, nope, I don't think I need to go back to alcohol. I'm good. Like, I got an instant headache, hated it, hated the whole experience. On Groove Cruise, we got hibachi and they had a sake drink. And I was like, you know what? Why not? You know, I've done all this work. Like, I feel pretty good about it. Like, I'm not going to go overboard. Like, the whole reason why I quit drinking, it wasn't because I'm an alcoholic. It was because I didn't know how to moderate it. So I dabbled with it on Groove Cruise and I was very much able to keep it in check. I just had, you know, one or two drinks with the hibachi, had a couple sips of some tequila Red Bulls from my friends, had a pina colada on the island day that was way too strong, and I had to get a virgin pina colada to balance out the non-virgin pina colada. And I felt like I kept everything in check. And so coming back, there's like a lot of social things happening in February, which is weird for like it being a winter month in Austin, but a lot of social things happen. So, you know, I went out with my coworkers after an event we had, and then just like put myself out there, said yes to things. And so, yeah, I experimented with having alcohol back in my life. I do think I achieved a lot of the healing that happened, but now it is kind of a slippery slope because I am seeing that alcohol is fun. And that could be a slippery slope because I just want to keep having fun, you know? But that is where I think I got a little bit distracted because I just was like getting out of the house, being social, all of those things. But I think, like I said, I really needed it. And a lot of my friends were like, Aid, you are so hard on yourself. It's okay for you to have a little fun. Like, I think you need to have a little bit of fun because I told them all, they know all of the things that happened in the past year and then some. Like, I was in a relationship for so long, and so February was just fun. You know, we had fun. And I've actually gone back to not drinking because I don't think it helped with the hives. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to, you know, make sure that the hives start to dissipate and I really still fully heal from them. The medication I'm on is definitely helping, and there's no like what's the word I'm thinking about? Like there's no clashing. I know that's not the right word, but like I can drink alcohol and the medication it not be affected. I know for some other medications, like I know for people that go on Accutane, they can't drink, you know. It's not one of those things. But I was just like, you know what? I probably should just try to keep my stress low, really take care of myself, eat healthy, move my body, things like that, to help with the hives. And you know, we're halfway through March, and because I haven't been drinking, I've been seeing an improvement with the hives. Also, I did drink and I still got hungover, and I do not like the hangover. So like I did check in and be like, you know what? It's been kind of nice. I do have some mental clarity again. Not having the hangovers is pretty nice. So I do think I am going to have alcohol in my life again, but it's just about the intention behind it. And like something else I was noticing too, it's like I can have a drink or two and then I can still switch to mocktails or switch to water. Like I can still go out and like do something like that. You know what I mean? So February was like a little trial run of having fun and having alcohol back in my life. But around end of February, I went to like a breathwork session and I kind of like woke up to the fact of like, yeah, I've been a little bit distracted from these healings. There was a lot of emotions that needed to come up and be felt. And so I held space for that. And that was also around the time of my period. I was just so emotional these past 2 weeks, and I just allowed myself to be in those feelings and really like feel those feelings. Um, and so that's kind of like, I think the update through February, honestly. Um, and I hope to those of you who maybe were inspired by me quitting alcohol that you're not disappointed or anything like that. I didn't really want to post about it and make a big deal about it. But I might talk about it of just like, here's what happened after I went back to alcohol after a year and a half of not drinking, just to kind of share about that. But I've been kind of waiting to do that. But I know a lot of you were inspired by me, and I hope that this doesn't inspire you to go back to it. I really do think you need to tune into where you're at with your journey, and make sure that it feels aligned and good for you because like I said, it is still a very slippery slope. And I saw that happen in February. Like I could have easily made some very bad situations happen. It's interesting when I can notice that and have the self-awareness around it as well. So that is kind of another part to this, right? There's so many updates to share with you. It's like I tell my friends, there's friends that I haven't talked to a while. I tell them everything that's happened, and they're like, "What in the world?" And I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to my Saturn return," which I didn't even like preface this. Yeah, I'm in the middle of my Saturn return. Which for the astrology girlies that know, like your Saturn return is like a time where you absolutely get tested. It's typically between the ages 28 to 30. So currently we're Saturn in Pisces. So if you have a Saturn in Pisces placement, you're in your Saturn return, and not everyone's gonna have a tough Saturn return. But I got my aura read when I went to Houston in February, and she basically told me that when you go through your Saturn return, it is basically like a path redirection. So if you are not on the right path, your Saturn return is going to redirect you. And boy, do I feel like I have been redirected. And we are still going through it. I haven't even, there's another part to February that I can't even share just yet. And once I do, you guys are literally going to be like, what in the world, Aid? But yeah, it's been pretty crazy to say the least, but I'll go into like what I've learned in this time and some lessons learned. But let's just say like my Saturn return's been crazy. February was also crazy but fun. Um I also went to Houston in February. I did a vlog on my YouTube channel of me going to Houston, which was really nice because I did a solo road trip to Houston, and I can't remember the last time I did a solo road trip. And I'm also like fully single for the first time in like 6 years because I had kind of like back-to-back relationships that happened kind of like one after the other. So I've just been kind of like recognizing that of like, wow, like it's kind of nice to have this time to myself because who knows when the next guy is going to come along. So, or who knows when like the one is coming. That's who I hope is next is the one, and we get married and have babies. But yeah, so I'm just enjoying this time. So I went on a solo road trip to Houston just cuz tonight like I'm really enjoying having my Friday nights to myself. So I'm kind of keeping my Friday nights sacred if I don't have any plans. And I could do whatever I want. Like I'm recording this podcast. I might DJ tonight. I might watch a movie. Like the possibilities are endless, and so I'm really just enjoying this time and space of these things and doing things that make me uncomfortable. I think initially when, the separation happened, I was feeling like, oh my God, I have to put myself out there. I have to do all these things. And it was one of those like triggering fears, because I also struggled with being seen, and I dealt with so many things that made me want to isolate. And so now I'm definitely feeling more comfortable with being seen and putting myself out there. And like I'm having such a deeper appreciation for the city I live in. Like I love Austin. I've been meeting so many cool people. And I do feel like I'm in this expansive and open state right now, which feels really, really good. And for March, that's what I've been really digging into is just more healing. Been doing a lot of like subconscious work. I've been doing a lot of identity work. shadow work, inner child healing. Like there's been a lot of just healing, and some weekends I'm just tired because there's just so much work on top of like living, right? And like all of that. But I'm really just doing what I can to take care of myself and just do the best I can. I feel like that's just sums up where I'm at right now. Like I'm just very devoted to myself. I've also gone back to church. I found a church here in Austin. I had a friend move here in Kaylani, who's been just so amazing to have in my life. And we found a church and we've been going, and it's been really helpful and healing in this process to be going. And I don't really identify or label myself any which way. I just know I do have a connection to God and the universe, and we are in just this beautiful dance of me doing the best I can and me trusting in there being this divine plan for me. And, anytime things have happened, I've just been like, obviously holding space for emotions that pop up, but I'm like, okay, this is obviously happening for a reason, and we're just going to trust it, and we're just going to go with it. I don't know how long I've been talking up at this point. I definitely had a lot to say. I've also been working on exercising this throat chakra. So, we're doing a lot with this episode. I'm also kind of like sweating because I know that I need to be doing this. Um, so some lessons learned. I was talking to someone about this, about the Saturn return and all of that, and she was like, "What's been like the biggest things that you've really learned?" And just to share some like general themes that have been coming up. For one, whatever house your Saturn placement is in is kind of indicative of what your Saturn return could look like. Let me look house themes astrology, because mine is in the third house, which is the mind, which, hello, we're doing a lot with our mind. Thinking, communication, siblings, which I'm an only child. Which like in a way, my friends are my siblings, basically. Like it feels like social activity and interest, neighbors, and early education. And I feel like this whole thing that has happened these past couple of months, like what I can really take away from it is that I am learning, one, how to communicate better with all of the stuff that happened with like especially friends. Like I shut down and I didn't communicate, and like if I could go back I would have like maybe approached it a lot differently, but I have had the conversations I needed to have. I feel like I was getting better at communication with Chase as well. And now I feel like I'm getting better about speaking up and being seen, letting my opinions be heard, letting my truth be heard. And I feel like that is what I've learned a lot, is just being able to speak up and just knowing that I'm not going to please everyone. I've had to do a lot of releasing that, like, I might be the villain in some people's eyes. I might not be a good person to some people. Um, and I have to release what everyone thinks of me, and what other people think of me is just none of my business, because at the end of the day, they have their own perceptions, which is created by their own beliefs, and that is how they live in their reality. But I also have mine too. And like I said, I came to this podcast with a very open heart, and I know my heart, and I know that I do the best I can to live with this heart. And I know I do have a good heart, and I know that I am going to make mistakes sometimes. I'm 28 years old. I have a lot to learn still. I don't know everything. I'm not a perfect person. I try my best to be a good person. But I'm not a bad person, and I kind of made myself out to be. And so I feel like I really have been stepping into my authentic self a lot more, which is kind of tying back to the whole working on being seen, because I don't think I created my pages inauthentically, but I do think I haven't been my full authentic self online. And some of you might have noticed the posts that I've been posting lately. Like I can feel the energy has shifted, and some of you are noticing too. Like I'm just having fun creating content. I'm being silly, I'm being goofy. I'm showcasing more of these sides to me. I'm also releasing content that I feel like I had to make versus creating content that I want to make and allowing myself to be seen. I'm recording this podcast and letting myself be seen. Um, and just really moving through life and not letting what other people think of me and what their judgments are affect me anymore because I used to allow that to guide how I show up. And I also used to, like I said, self-bully myself. Like sometimes it wasn't even about other people. Like it was like me getting in my own way. And so I've really just learned how to show up through this. And one of my mentors, she's just really talked about like when you are so dedicated to your mission, like who cares what other people think? Like you're really going to let them get in the way of this mission that is so big and so bright, like you're really going to allow that. And I know, some of my coaching girls and some of my followers, like you guys have shown me so much love and support and have always said, we don't care what you post, just don't stop posting. And I get emotional saying that because there's been so many times where I've wanted to quit and like where I felt that my voice didn't matter. And I felt like it was like this feeling of like, who cares? No one cares. Why are you going to post that? Why share that? And it's not even like I said, this was from anybody. It was just me doing this to myself, which is why mindset work can be such a dangerous and slippery slope with this stuff of like, if you allow these limiting beliefs to guide your life, like it just spirals. And I talked about that. That's where I was last year, being so depressed working on my business. And then this is where I've been now. And so I feel like this chapter has really just been like releasing all of this and letting it all go and kind of like removing these shackles from me. And I just feel very free right now to be who I am and to put myself out there and knowing that I'm always going to be good enough. I'm always going to be loved. I'm always going to be supported. And it also doesn't have to be by everyone. Like it can be by the people who get me. And if someone doesn't get me, that's okay. Um, because we're not meant to be liked by everyone. Like it's not a belief to be liked and loved by everyone. Like when we think about it, like to bring it to Jesus, right? Like he wasn't liked and loved by everyone, like that's a clear example. And then we look at like celebrities, right? Like so many celebrities, like you might have a favorite celebrity, but then like that they have so many people that don't like that celebrity. Same thing with artists, like whatever, right? So I'm really stepping into the fact that I'm not going to be everyone's tea and that's okay. And like I said, what they have to say about me is none of my business because at the end of the day, I know myself, I know my heart, I know my intentions, and I know that in the past couple of months, I did the very best that I could with what I was dealt with the cards that I was dealt with. And maybe I could go back and do things differently, but I can't. What's done is done. All I have is the present moment. And so that's another thing is that I've really just been tapping into the present moment and doing what I can to serve myself best and show up for myself and devote time to myself. Um, and just allowing myself to be and knowing that the healing work is never done. It's never over. So I can also take days to rest, and have fun, like we're supposed to be having fun. Life is fun. So I think that's everything that's coming through. I feel like I've gotten a lot out. I'm seeing if there's anything else that feels important to really share with you guys, other than the fact that, like I talked about this storm, right? I really do feel like I've been going through this storm, and I feel like it has been another lesson. Okay, the last lesson of like really trusting God and the universe that I'm being called to rise and be tested. Um and like life was never meant to be easy, and especially for me where I feel like I have this mission that is becoming clearer and clearer. If you've been following me for a while, I've always said that like I just know I'm meant for more. Like I just know there's something here. I know that I'm meant for more. And I remember seeing this Instagram post of like, maybe you're not going through these things to like be tested, but to really be like, are you being who you say you're being? And I feel like that is what is true. Like, am I really being a leader? Am I really being resilient? Am I really able to like hold the capacity for these things? And, I hope that this shows you that no matter what storm that you're going through, you are so capable of getting through it. You are so resilient, and these storms are just temporary. And I'm so here for you and I see you, and that you're not alone. And some of these things that we're going through, there are some things that are unexplainable, right? There are some things that there might not be a reason for it, right? And there are some things that can be really just dark and heavy that there might not be an explanation for it. There could be even later down the road. You might not have that instant clarity as to why something's going on. But I really want to just remind you that you just have to keep going and you have to keep doing the best you can. And it's not going to look perfect every day. And I'm also not doing this from like a toxic positivity place. Like, if you can accept that things are shit right now, accept it. Because once you accept it and stop resisting it, and you allow yourself to feel yourself in the shit, that's how you really get out of it. Um, and that's what I've really learned is that like sometimes you just have to be like, all right, this is where I am. And I don't know what to do about it. And that's where you can really lean on like a support system, get a therapist, get a coach, lean on your friends, lean on your family. I'm so grateful for the friends that have stuck by me and have been there for me and have allowed me to be this mess and have allowed me to like talk about these things. And I'm grateful for the new people that have come into my life, and have really shown up for me as well and just have shown me so much love and so much kindness. And yeah, I've just been very grateful in all of that. And I hope that you can also bring it back to gratitude, even if it feels really hard, finding something to be grateful for, grateful for the roof over your head, grateful for having food in your fridge. Like, it's all about that perspective, and being able to kind of shift it that even if things are really hard right now, there are some things that can still be really good in your life, and life can still be really good to you. And you don't have to fall victim to these things. And I hope I haven't really come across as a victim in this. I really have tried to come at it from, these are the things that happened to me, and this is how I really navigated it. And it was really hard. Like I said, I think I gaslit myself a little bit saying that, like, oh, but it's fine, but it wasn't fine. These things were really hard things to go through. But one of my mentors is like, you are in like a divine feminine ascension accelerator right now, where it's just like one thing after the other is just testing you. And I think it's really shown me that I really can depend on myself and that I don't need external things to depend on. And I also need to create safety and security within myself, because it can all be gone one day, right? Like I said, my life is completely different from March 2023. If March 2023 me saw me now, she'd be like, "What in the world just happened?" Like, she'd be like, "What?" you know? But I'm so proud because I am in such a better place than where I was in March of 2023. I can very much at least say that. Even though it was a road to get here, that's for sure. A bumpy road, but it's all been really good things. And another mentor of mine was just talking about these have been very impactful upgrades to my life. And another layer to this is human design, which is like it's a tool for understanding yourself, very similar to astrology. I'm going to be sharing more about that because I do readings for people about that. But part of my human design is for the first 30 years, I'm tested and trialed. And so I feel like we're just squeezing out the juice of these tests and trials until I get to 30. So we have another year of this, which is fine. We're fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Um, and then from 30 to 50 is kind of where I like, they say, quote unquote, go on the roof and like reflect on the past 30 years, gain some lessons and some value, some knowledge out of that. And then by 50, I'm going to be a role model. And I've always kind of been like, I feel like a role model now. So like, what am I going to look like at 50? Like, am I going to be like Mel Robbins, which would be really cool. I love Mel Robbins, but that's another part to this. So I feel like I'm just in this and we're figuring it out and I'm doing the best I can. So, oh, that felt really good. If you're listening, let's take an inhale in and exhale it back out. Inhale in And exhale it back out. Last one in. Hold it. Release in 3, 2, 1. Exhale it back out. Man, that felt really good to get out. And I hope this was helpful, maybe for you guys to get a peek into my life. Maybe this was also healing for some of you. My DMs are open for any thoughts, questions, downloads that came through for you, or if you just want to be like, girl, I'm in my Saturn return too. We got this. Like, maybe we should start a support group. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for seeing me and witnessing me. Um, I had recorded a version of this podcast just a couple days ago, and I didn't quite feel like I got out what I wanted to say or convey. I also feel like maybe it was a little bit too like dee 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 dee, everything's fine. Look at all these things I went through. But I think I needed to be a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more transparent. And now we have the future to look forward to. So like I said, I am going to Project Glow. I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle. Seismic Dance Event Light, turning 29. I also have purchased tickets to Arc Music Festival for Labor Day weekend. We are going back. I saw that lineup, you guys, and I was like, absolutely no chance am I missing this. So I'm very excited about that. I don't think any other future workshops are going to be happening as of yet. Um with Texas eclipse happening in April, I just didn't really make a move on it. It didn't really, I know it's going to be like a life-changing event. To be honest, the last eclipse that happened last year, I got an awful migraine, like awful migraine. But something just didn't feel right about it. It also is like a Friday to Tuesday. And with work, I was just like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about all that. So I hope if you're going to Texas eclipse, you have a great time. And Lightning in a Bottle, I'm not doing any workshops. For Glow and Lightning in a Bottle, like I'm going to keep my commitment super low. And I was telling my mom about this today. Like, I don't really want to have to do a bunch of content for a ticket or do a workshop for a ticket right now. Like, I kind of just want to enjoy these festivals and feel free and just like very low commitments. So for Project Glow, I'll probably go to a meetup that Emma Capotis is going to be hosting. Lightning in a Bottle, like no commitments whatsoever. I really just want to fully enjoy this festival. I want to go to the workshops. I want to go see the sets I want to see. And like, I'll be taking content, of course, but I don't want any like content obligations with the festival or have to worry about running a workshop at a festival I've never been to. So I kind of just want to like be an attendee this year versus like working with these festivals. Same thing with ARC. Like I bought a ticket, like I'm not doing content or anything with them. Um, I am tossing around the idea about Lost Lands. Maybe I'll do a workshop for that one, but I guess this answers the big question. I'm not going to EDC Las Vegas. I've been 4 times. I'm still not feeling the pull to go back. I'm curious to see what all the changes and everything look like. The lineup looked really amazing. But yeah, I think I'm okay still not going back to that one. And May's going to be super crazy because I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle. But this also means I will not be going to Electric Forest. Dun, dun, dun. I was thinking about going, but then I saw the Lightning in a Bottle lineup and I was just like, I think this is the year I send it. So I kind of traded off Lightning in a Bottle for Electric Forest. Electric Forest, to be honest, like the price increases really bothered me as someone that's gone to Forest for the past 4 years. The price increases really bothered me. Um, I really like the lineup. I mean, Charlotte DeWitt, hello in the Forest. Like, I'm definitely going to be sad about missing that, but I'll be okay. I also think, too, like, this is another conversation for another day, but it's like when you go to a festival, like, 4+ times, it's like, are you just going to recreate almost the same experience? And when it doesn't, happen that way, it kind of like doesn't meet those expectations. So it's really hard to continue going to the same festival and hope that like every experience is going to be the best one. But also Electric Forest was so amazing last year. like honestly one of the best experiences ever last year, and getting to host the workshop and all of that, that it's like I kind of want to just like keep it at that right now. Um, and yeah, I just didn't feel that like full body yes with Forest, which was really weird because we all know I love that festival so much. And I was thinking like maybe if I host the workshop, like I could do it, but then Lightning in a Bottle just came out swinging with that lineup. It's just so good. So I'm gonna do YouTube videos for those lineups, on the ones that I'm going to. Um, when it comes to tip videos, I am just not feeling a big alignment right now for posting a lot of tip videos, which is hard because that's what I'm known for. Like for example, like 5 tips for electric forest. Like, I don't know. That could change, but I also do think like right now I'm in this space. Um, I'm still healing like mentally, emotionally, physically, that I just kind of have to create what feels good and do the best I can when it comes to content creation. And I think doing those tip videos, it takes a lot of energy and work that I just like, and capacity that I maybe just don't have right now. So I hope you guys can understand. That could always change this year. And like I said, I hadn't really planned past May. So we'll see what the rest of this year looks like, other than Arc Music Festival. But I'm feeling very open. I'm feeling very excited. There's like, that one quote of just like, there's so many people you haven't met yet. There's so many like sunrises you'll get to experience. Like, that's what I'm really looking forward to. There's so much I've yet to experience, and I feel very much in this open and expansive place, and healing place, and I'm just excited for what's to come. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Some of my OGs, like the ones that have been like, we don't care what you post, we just want you to post, we want you to keep showing up. Like, you guys are honestly the reason why I keep going. And my coaching clients, if any of you guys are listening, you guys are the reason why I keep going, because I do really believe in my mission, and I do really feel like I can continue to be a really great role model in this community of being able to go to these events, but also really creating amazing lives and really becoming your best self and creating a life that just feels really, really good. I'm feeling really grateful. And I'm very happy I did this, and I'm very happy I could be open and transparent about these things. Like I said, my DMs are open for any comments, stories, you want to giggle, whatever. And I appreciate you being here. I think moving forward, some of these episodes will be value packed and everything. Then we'll do like little life updates intertwined here and there, so we don't have to do a big episode like debrief like this. But yeah, like I said, a lot has happened. So thank you again for hearing me, for seeing me, for validating me. I think that is all I have to share today, and I'm getting hungry, so I need to eat. But thank you so much for listening again. I hope wherever you are that you can really find some time to just cultivate some peace in your life, really cultivate some love in your life, do things with love, lead with love, all of those things. And I wish you a very vibey day. Thank you so much for being a part of my vibey family. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay vibey, vibey fam. Alrighty. I love you guys. Mwah. Goodbye.